Welcome back to the deep dive. We have a stack of research on the desk today that is, honestly, it's a little unusual for us.
It is.
Yep.
Yeah, usually we're tearing apart a tech trend or, a historical biography, maybe a geopolitical crisis,
Yeah.
concrete stuff.
Right. And today we are technically looking at grammar.
Grammar, which I know sounds...
And I really need you, the listener, to stay with me here. This isn't a syntax lesson.
Definitely not.
We aren't going to be conjugating verbs for an hour.
No one wants that.
No one. We're looking at the work of Jamie Thornberry and a collection of linguistic anthropological sources that propose something really startling.
It really is.
It's a concept that hooks you the second you hear it. The premise is, what if language isn't just a tool we use to talk to each other? What if language is actually an instrument of perception?
Yeah, it's the ultimate, the medium is the message argument. We tend to think of words as like sticky notes.
Sticky notes, okay.
Right? Like you see a thing in the world, you slap a label on it, the thing exists first, then we name it.
Tree, car, justice.
Exactly. But Thornberry and these other sources are arguing the exact opposite. They're saying the grammar you use, the actual structural engineering of your sentences, shapes how you build your reality.
That is wild.
It shapes your ethics, your relationships, even how you perceive time.
And the why now of this, the reason we are doing this deep dive today is because the sources pose a question that feels incredibly relevant to the modern mood.
The modern mood.
Because I think we all feel this sense of fragmentation right now.
Oh, absolutely.
Indecision, a lack of ownership.
The sources actually call it the crisis of responsibility.
Exactly, the crisis of responsibility.
Yeah.
And the source material asks, what if this crisis isn't just political? What if it's not just moral? What if it's grammatical?
Grammatical. Yeah, what if we are suffering from a grammar of abstraction?
That's the phrase that stopped me in my tracks when I was reading the prep material, a grammar of abstraction.
It perfectly captures that floaty, disconnected feeling so many of us have.
So to get to the bottom of this and figure out how to, actually fix it in our own lives, we are going to do a deep dive into the triliteral root system of ancient Hebrew.
Now pause. I can literally hear people reaching for the skip button right now.
They know.
They're thinking, ancient Hebrew, I didn't sign up for theology school today.
Right, but we aren't doing this for religious reasons. Let me be clear about that.
Not at all.
We are looking at this system because, according to the linguistic data, it contains a hidden architecture of thought. It's a grammar of responsibility that is radically different from the Greek and Western systems we all grew up with.
And that distinction is the key to this whole thing.
Yeah.
We live in a world built by Greek thought.
Of Greek thought.
Yeah, we love categories, we love our definitions, we love abstractions. But this ancient Semitic system offers a concrete worldview.
Concrete. Meaning what, exactly?
Meaning it's a system where you literally cannot detach the idea of a thing from the doing of the thing. The language won't let you.
And that is our mission today. We want to see if we can recover the insight of this ancient code to help you, the listener, build personal responsibility in your daily decision-making. Right now. Today.
We're going to talk about why truth isn't something you think, it's something you walk.
I love that.
And why knowing isn't about collecting data, it's about intimacy.
It's about moving from a world of static nouns to a world of dynamic verbs.
Precisely.
So let's just open the hood. We have to understand the mechanics of this before we can drive the car.
Let's do it.
The sources call the engine of meaning in this language the triliteral root system. Break that down for us. Explain it like I'm 5.
Okay, imagine a skeleton. In English, our words are kind of like Frankenstein monsters.
Frankenstein monsters.
Yeah, because we borrow from everywhere. Telephone is Greek, business is Old English, entrepreneur is French.
Right, it's a hodgepodge.
It's a total chaotic stew. They don't look alike, and they don't sound alike, even if they're related concepts.
Okay, sure.
But in the Semitic system, specifically Hebrew, the mechanical unit of the language is the root.
The root.
Right, and the root is almost always a cluster of 3 specific consonants.
Just 3 letters, that's the DNA.
That is the DNA. And here's the crucial part that Thornberry emphasizes. That 3-letter skeleton is inherently action-loaded.
Action-loaded.
It is never a static object. It is a frozen action.
Give me a visual. I need to picture this.
Okay, think of the root as a raw movement. To make it into a word you can actually speak in conversation, you have to flesh it out.
Adding the muscles to the skeleton.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You add vowels, maybe a prefix at the front, the suffix at the end, but no matter how much you dress it up, the word is permanently tethered to that original physical movement.
I need a concrete example.
Yeah.
The sources bring up the root KTV, cough, tav, vet.
Right, KTV. So the root action there is physical. It means engraving or cutting into stone.
Okay. The physical act of writing.
The act of writing, yes. Now watch what happens. From that one three-letter root, you build the word for book. You build a word for letter. You build a word for scribe, document, even dictation.
Okay, but we have that in English. I mean, we have write, writer, writing.
We do, but it breaks down really quickly. Think about it. Book doesn't sound anything like write.
True.
Scripture sounds like script, but Bible doesn't.
Ah, I see.
In English, the object eventually gets totally separated from the action. But in this Hebrew system, every single one of those words vibrates with the sound KTV.
So a book isn't just a noun sitting on a shelf.
No. A book is a writing action that has been crystallized. When you say the word for book, your mouth actually had to perform the phonetic sounds of cutting into stone.
That is wild.
You are constantly reminded that this object is the result of a process. Someone had to do something for this to exist.
That's trippy. It prevents the object from becoming just, stuff. It keeps you connected to its origin.
Exactly. It resists abstraction. You can't just have a book appear out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Let's look at a heavier concept, though. The root QDS.
QDS, which is usually translated as holy, right?
Yes. Now, be honest. When you hear the word holy in modern English, what immediately pops into your head?
I don't know. A glowing halo.
Right.
Someone speaking in a really soft, reverent voice. Maybe a cathedral with stained glass. It feels very...
Floaty.
Yeah, floaty. That's the word. It's a vibe.
A vibe. That is the Greek and Western influence at work. We turn it into an abstract state of being.
Like a magical aura.
Exactly. But the root QDS is fiercely physical. It's actually agricultural.
Agricultural.
Yeah, its primary meaning is to set apart or to cut.
To cut. Wait, how does cutting relate to being holy?
Think about it like cutting a specific portion of the harvest to keep it safe from rot. Or fencing off a specific piece of land so the sheep don't trample it.
Oh, wow.
It is an act of separation.
So holiness isn't a feeling, it's a logistic.
It's a physical act of boundary setting.
Mm-hmm.
To be holy in this grammatical system is to be distinct, separated from the common, specifically for a purpose.
But you see how that totally changes the definition?
Complete.
It moves it from this mystical state where you're just looking up at the clouds to a concrete positioning on the ground.
Yes. And this is where we start to see the real implications for your daily decision-making. Because if your language works this way, you can't really fake concepts, can you?
It's much harder to fake.
Right. In our modern languages, we love nouns. We love static categories. I can say, I am a creative person.
Or I am an environmentalist.
Exactly. I can wear that noun like a badge on my jacket.
Even if I haven't created a single thing in 6 months, or I threw a plastic water bottle in the trash yesterday.
Precisely. You can hide behind the noun. I am a writer who doesn't actually write. But the root system forces a movie, not a snapshot.
A movie, not a snapshot. I like that.
It uses verbs in motion. You cannot discuss a concept without evoking the physical movement associated with it.
So you can't just have values. You can't just be an environmentalist.
You have to enact them, because the word for the value is literally derived from the action itself. The language fights against the idea that you can be something without doing it.
That leads us perfectly into the first major case study from the research. And this one really clicked for me when I was reading it, because it takes the most mundane thing humans do, walking, and turns it into a complete ethical framework.
Yes. The root is HLK.
HLK halakha, to walk.
To walk. Now, in the West, we treat ethics as a thought experiment.
Oh, totally. The trolley problem.
Kant's categorical imperative.
Right, it's a mental calculation. Is this theoretically the right thing to do?
But in this worldview, walking becomes the dominant metaphor for human existence.
Nah.
The sources break this down into 3 distinct layers.
Let's walk through them, pun intended.
Nice. Okay, so the first layer is literal, conduct. The way you actually move your feet from point A to point B.
Okay, pretty straightforward.
But the language builds on that. It expands to the second layer, which is your manner of life, the habitual pace and direction of your daily existence.
So your lifestyle is literally your walk.
Yes. And then the third layer, which is the most profound, the moral path. The trajectory of choices that constitutes a life over time.
This completely challenges the way we usually talk about being good or bad.
It destroys the static label. We ask, is he a good person?
Right.
As if good is a status.
Right.
Like being a gold member at an airline.
Once you have the status, you just keep it? You show your card and get into the lounge?
Exactly. I donated to charity in 2015, so I am definitively a charitable person.
We all do that.
We do, but the root system forces a completely different question. It doesn't ask, is he good? It asks, how is he walking?
Wow.
It implies trajectory. It implies that you are currently in motion. You aren't good or bad as a fixed state. You are actively moving toward a destination or moving away from it.
That's terrifying, actually.
Why is that terrifying?
Because it means I'm never done. I can't rest on my laurels.
No, you can't.
If it's about trajectory, then yesterday's good deed was just one step. Today's a brand new step. If I step in the wrong direction today, I am physically located in a different moral place.
That is exactly what the sources call historical consciousness. Truth isn't a static state found in a vacuum. It is a path.
A path.
And this challenges you to stop asking abstract questions about your identity. Stop asking, who am I? And start looking at your direction. Ask, where am I going?
It's like the difference between looking at a map on a table and actually hiking the trail.
Great analogy.
You can't fake the hike. Your feet are where they are. If you stop walking, you aren't a hiker anymore. You're just a guy standing in the woods.
Just a guy standing in the woods, exactly. Which brings us to the second case study, which tackles how we interact with information. The root, YDA.
YDA.
To know.
Yeah.
To know. And this is the one that really exposes our modern crisis of abstraction.
How so? Walk us through that.
Well, think about how we use the word know today. I know the capital of France. I know that smoking is bad for me. I know the quadratic equation. What is the common thread in all those sentences?
It's data possession. It's just a file stored in my brain.
Right. It's intellectual. It's distant. I can know that smoking causes cancer while I am literally smoking a cigarette.
The cognitive dissonance special.
Exactly. But the Hebrew root, YDA, prevents that dissonance because it layers three things together: intimacy, encounter, and covenantal awareness.
Covenantal awareness. That sounds heavy. Unpack that for us.
In this system, you cannot know something from a safe distance.
Right.
To know is to have a direct, visceral experience with it. It implies a relationship. The most famous example, of course, is the euphemism in the Bible, Adam knew Eve.
Right. And that obviously wasn't Adam realizing he recognized her face from across the garden.
No, it wasn't an exchange of business cards. It was the most intimate connection two humans can have.
It resulted in a child.
Right, it was generative. So knowing involves the whole person, not just the intellect.
And here is the comparative distinction that the sources highlight, and I think this is fascinating. They compare this to the Sanskrit tradition.
The Eastern metaphysical traditions, yeah.
Right. Now, we have to be careful not to generalize too much here, obviously.
But there's a lot of nuance.
But broadly speaking, the sources point out that in many Eastern traditions, specifically the metaphysical ones, the ultimate goal of knowledge is dissolution.
Dissolution, the drop of water returning to the ocean.
Exactly. You realize that you are an illusion. The goal is to merge with the one, to lose the distinction between the subject and the object.
The ego disappears.
Right. But in the Hebrew grammar of responsibility, that distinction is stubbornly preserved. It's an I-thou relationship.
I-thou.
The knower and the known remain completely separate.
Why does that matter, though? Why is keeping them separate better for responsibility?
Well, the sources wouldn't say better or worse, just that it creates a completely different ethical outcome.
Okay.
Think about it. If we are all just the same cosmic soup, obligation gets really fuzzy.
Sure.
If you and I are ultimately the same thing, do I really have a duty to you? But if I know you in the Hebrew sense, I am recognizing you as a separate other that I have a distinct bond with.
Ah, I see. So responsibility check here. You cannot know something in this worldview without incurring a responsibility toward it.
Precisely. Knowledge implies relationship, and relationship implies obligation.
Think about how radically that changes decision-making in the modern world. We are drowning in information right now.
Drowning.
We doom scroll. We know about tragedies halfway across the world. We know the climate stats. We know the economic data. But do we YDA them?
Do we have a covenantal bond with those facts?
Exactly. Do we allow that knowledge to create an actual demand on our behavior?
Ouch. That hurts.
It does.
It feels like we hoard the data, but we actively dodge the relationship. We want the knowledge of the problem so we can sound smart at dinner parties.
Or win arguments on social media.
Right, but without doing the walking of the solution.
That is the crisis of abstraction in a nutshell. We have severed the link between knowing and doing. We think reading the article is the same as taking the action.
So we've looked at the machinery, the roots themselves, we've looked at walking and knowing. But the sources also zoom out to give us a landscape view.
This part is really cool.
Yeah, they compare this Hebrew worldview to its ancient neighbors to show just how unique this grammar of responsibility really is.
Yes, it's like a personality test for civilizations.
A personality test. I love that.
The sources break down 5 major ancient competitors. And when you line them up side by side, you really start to see what makes the Walker mindset so different.
Okay, let's run through the lineup. First up, Akkadian. The sources call this the bureaucrat.
Akkadian, the language of the great empires of Mesopotamia, Babylon, Assyria. We have mountains of Akkadian texts.
Mountains of it, but what is it actually saying?
It's not poetry.
Yeah.
It's receipts. It's law codes. It's royal decrees. It's literally things like, I sold you 40 sheep for 20 shekels of silver.
Reality is a spreadsheet.
Exactly. It is a language focused on administrative, state-centered records. Reality is something to be managed, counted, and regulated.
It dissolves the person into the data of the empire. You're just a taxpayer.
Basically. Then you have classical Sanskrit, which we just touched on, the metaphysician.
This is the being in essence crowd.
Right. The grammar here loves abstract nouns.
Yeah.
It stretches upward. It wants to discuss ultimate reality and cosmic unity.
It's less concerned with the price of grain in the market.
Way less.
Yeah.
It's more concerned with the eternal nature of the soul.
Okay, then we have Koine Greek, the philosopher, and this is the one we know best.
This is the absolute foundation of our Western scientific mind. Greek excels at conceptual precision.
Right.
It wants to define what things are. It builds categories. It separates substance from form. It is the perfect language for system building.
It puts things in boxes.
It loves boxes.
But
then you have classical Chinese, the harmonizer.
the flow.
Yes, flow. The focus there is on resonance and pattern.
Ethical.
Harmony within the social and cosmic order.
Right.
It's about fitting into the flow of the Tao or understanding your place in the social hierarchy.
And finally, ancient Hebrew, the walker.
The walker. The focus here is on lived realism. And here is the key distinction the sources make. Hebrew prevents the dissolution of the self.
What does that mean practically? Dissolution of the self.
Well, think about the others we just listed. Sanskrit might dissolve the self into the cosmos.
Right.
Greek might dissolve the specific thing into an abstract category.
Okay.
Akkadian dissolves the person into the state apparatus. But Hebrew insists that the person stands before reality or God as a responsible, distinct agent.
So it puts a massive spotlight on the individual's choice.
Exactly. They call it the agency argument. Because the language maintains differentiation, there is a creator and a creature, there is justice and injustice. Personal agency is totally required.
You can't just go with the flow.
No. You can't just merge with the universe. You are addressed, and you must answer.
Wow. So other systems offer an escape from time or an escape from the self.
Yes.
But this system demands engagement with time and with the self.
That is the crux of it. It's uncomfortable. It doesn't let you off the hook. Ever.
So if we accept this engagement, if we decide we want to take responsibility, we need a vocabulary for it.
We do.
The sources talk about the vocabulary of integrated living. And this part really helped me because I think I, like most modern people, have this split brain.
Split brain.
Yeah. Logic is over here in one bucket and emotion is over there in another.
The classic head-heart dichotomy.
Exactly.
We think the head is for thinking cold, hard facts, and the heart is for feeling warm, fuzzy emotions.
Right. We tell people, follow your heart, which usually just means do whatever feels good right now.
Or ignore the math.
Ignore the math, exactly. But the Hebrew root system completely dissolves that split. Let's talk about the word love.
Lev,
Yeah.
usually translated as heart.
Right. But in Hebrew anthropology, the heart isn't just a pump and it isn't a Valentine.
No.
It is the seat of thought, intention, and will.
Wait, so the heart thinks.
In this worldview, yes. To decide with your heart isn't to decide based on a whim or a surge of emotion. It means to decide with your volitional mind, your core decision-making center. Oh, that makes so much sense.
It unites the intellect and the will.
That explains so much of the ancient texts. When you read those texts and they talk about someone hardening their heart,
Yeah.
I always thought that meant they just stopped caring. Like they just became a mean person.
No, it means a calcified will, a stubbornness of the mind.
It's a decision-making problem, not just an emotional one.
Exactly. And this integration applies to the core virtues too. Let's look at emet truth. We touched on this, but let's drill down because this is huge for daily decisions.
Okay, emet.
In English, truth is a proposition. The sky is blue. That is a true statement.
Right. It's factually correct. It corresponds to data.
But the root of emet implies firmness, reliability, stability,
Mhm.
something you can literally lean your physical weight on.
Like a pillar.
Yes, a pillar. So applying this to responsibility, if I am a person of truth, it doesn't just mean I don't tell lies.
Right.
It means I am a person others can lean on without me collapsing. I am structurally sound. That is a huge shift in perspective. I can be factually accurate, but totally unreliable as a human being.
Exactly. You can be the actually guy on the internet who is technically correct about trivia but betrays his friends.
Right. In the Hebrew sense, that person has no emet. They have no truth because they have no stability.
What about tzedek, righteousness? That word always scares people.
It does. It feels very judgmental, very holier than thou.
It sounds like an impossible standard of moral perfectionism.
But again, look at the root action. It's about covenantal fidelity.
All right.
It means staying true to your relationships and your obligations.
Yeah.
It's not about being a perfect, sinless, glowing statue. It's about a simple question: do you keep your side of the deal?
It's relational loyalty.
Relational loyalty, yes.
Yeah.
And then there's shalom, peace. We think of peace as just no war.
Or quiet time, sitting by a lake with a cup of coffee.
But shalom means wholeness, integrity, completeness.
Right.
A broken stone wall is not shalom, even if it's perfectly quiet around it. The wall is shalom when it is fully built and functioning as a wall.
And finally, cheesed.
This is a beautiful word, often translated as loving kindness or mercy.
But it's more than that.
Much more. It's a combination of love, fidelity, and obligation. It is steadfast covenant loyalty.
Steadfast covenant loyalty.
It's the kind of love that has literally signed a contract, its commitment way beyond sentiment.
See, all of these words, truth, righteousness, peace, mercy, they all sound like abstract feelings in English.
They do.
But in the root system, they are all actions. They are things you physically do.
That is the synthesis the sources are driving at. These words create a pragmatic spirituality.
Pragmatic spirituality.
There is no divide between the sacred and the secular. You don't have marketplace ethics for Tuesday and temple ethics for Sunday.
Because life is integrated.
Right. Ethics govern commerce because commerce is a walk involving relationships.
I want to take a quick detour right here, though, because the sources include a really important section on nuance and history.
Yes, the survival bias warning.
Exactly. There is a warning here about survival bias. We need to be careful not to treat this language as literal magic or claim it was the very first language ever spoken.
That is a crucial corrective. Sometimes people get excited and think, oh, Hebrew is the language of God. It must be the oldest language.
The Adam spoke Hebrew in the garden theory.
Right, but linguistically, historically, we have to look at the hard evidence. And the evidence gives us a bit of a mystery.
The sources point out that Akkadian, the bureaucrat language, is actually the oldest written Semitic language we have found.
By quite a bit. It dates back to around 2500 BC. But ask yourself, why do we have it?
Wow. Why?
Office supplies.
Office supplies? What do you mean?
Akkadians wrote on clay tablets. They etched their receipts into mud and then baked them in the sun or in ovens.
And clay lasts forever.
Exactly. You can dig a baked piece of mud up 4,000 years later and read the receipt for 40 sheep.
But what about the ancestors of Hebrew?
The Northwest Semitic tribes, the ancestors of the Hebrews, the Amorites, they were semi-nomadic. They likely wrote on parchment, papyrus, animal skins.
Which rots.
It completely biodegrades.
Yeah.
Or they relied entirely on oral tradition. So Akkadian survives because they had better archival technology, not necessarily because they were first.
It's classic survival bias.
Oh.
Just because we have the records doesn't mean it was the only thing happening at the time.
Exactly. The sources actually mention that the historical Abraham, if we place him in the early 2nd millennium BC, wouldn't have spoken the Hebrew of the Bible.
He wouldn't?
No, he likely spoke a dialect of Amorite or a Northwest Semitic ancestor language.
Which would be a grandfather to Hebrew.
Right, a grandfather to the language we are studying today. But the core point the sources make is key. We aren't looking at Hebrew because it's magic.
Right.
We're looking at it because the written tradition that eventually emerged preserved this specific worldview.
It preserved the grammar of responsibility while the neighbors were writing receipts or contemplating the cosmos.
Exactly. It preserved a way of thinking that prioritized the covenant over the contract and the action over the abstraction.
Which brings us to the big so what for you listening right now. We've geeked out on grammar.
We have.
We've looked at the history. We've done the comparative analysis.
Yeah.
But how do we actually apply this? The sources talk about the crisis of abstraction in modern life.
And I think every single listener can feel this crisis. We have completely traded the grammar of responsibility for a grammar of abstraction.
Give me an example of what that looks like today. Concrete examples for the listener.
Well, look at how we view truth in the media. We view it as an equation to be solved. Is this news article correct?
Right, so we fact check it.
Which is important. We should fact check things.
But
we stop there. We don't ask, is the person sharing it reliable? We don't ask about the EMET, the structural integrity of the source.
you just check the data point.
Exactly. Or look at justice. We view it as a procedure. Did we follow the correct legal steps?
Rather than a restoration of wholeness.
Rather than shalom, right?
Or identity. That's a massive one right now.
Identity is the big one. We view identity as a self-construct. I can be whatever I say I am.
It's detached from our history, our community, and our actions.
And the result of all this is intense fragmentation. Words become detached from deeds. Promises are completely detached from performance.
You see it everywhere.
We have politicians who say the right abstract words, but walk a completely different path.
We have corporations that have value statements painted on the lobby wall. We value integrity.
But they have no cheese.
No loyalty.
No loyalty to their employees when the quarterly earnings dip.
So how do we recover this insight? We can't all go learn ancient Hebrew. I'm not downloading Duolingo for this today.
No, and you don't need to. The sources are clear on that. You just need to adopt the triliteral mindset.
The triliteral mindset.
The sources suggest 4 practical shifts to change your mental grammar right now.
Let's hit them. For the listener, maybe write these down. Number 1, bind word to deed.
This sounds simple, but it's actually radical in practice. Treat your words as crystallized actions. If you say something, realize you are initiating a physical movement in reality.
So banish the empty yes.
Exactly. Don't say, I'll try, if you don't mean I am actively stepping onto that path.
Yeah.
Close the gap between what you speak and what you do.
If you can't do the action, don't use the word.
Simple as that.
Number 2, think in trajectories.
This is the walking concept. Halakha. Stop evaluating your life based on a snapshot of today.
Like, I had a bad day, I'm a failure.
No. Evaluate based on the path. Ask yourself, where does this specific decision lead 10 steps from now?
Don't look at the isolated choice. Look at the trajectory.
Right. If I keep walking this way for a year, where do I end up?
Number 3, prioritize reliability.
That's EMET. In a world that values being clever or being correct or going viral.
Value being the person others can lean on.
Yes. Be the structural support in your family or your team.
That is a way higher form of truth than just having the right facts.
It really is. Being the pillar is better than being the pundit.
Being the pillar is better than being the pundit. I might put that on a t-shirt.
That's good.
And number 4, integrate the self.
Stop compartmentalizing your life. Stop saying, it's just business.
Because in the root system, there is no just business.
There is only walking. If you are unethical at work, you are walking crookedly, and that affects your whole self. The root system demands a unified life.
It really is a massive shift from the Greek question to the Hebrew question.
It is.
Because the Greek question is, what is the nature of reality?
Which is a spectator question. You're sitting in the stands watching the show and analyzing it.
But the Hebrew question is, what is demanded of me?
And that puts the ball firmly in our court. It completely removes the luxury of being a spectator.
You are on the stage. You are walking. The only question is where. This has been such a fascinating journey into the architecture of thought. It's wild to think that thousands of years ago, a group of people developed a way of speaking that was designed to prevent exactly the kind of fragmentation we are feeling today.
It is an incredible legacy of wisdom. And it reminds us that civilization isn't built on technology. It stands or falls on whether our words actually correspond to our lived reality.
If the grammar breaks.
The society breaks.
That is a very sobering thought.
But also an empowering one, I think.
How so?
Because we can fix the grammar of our own lives. You have the agency to choose to speak and live in a way that connects.
I want to leave you, the listener, with a final thought today. Something to really chew on as you go about your week. Reflect on the language you use every single day in your emails, your texts, your conversations. Are your words anchored in action? Are they crystallized deeds? Or are they drifting in abstraction, totally disconnected from what you actually do? Because the future may depend less on inventing new slogans and more on rediscovering how to speak in a way that can actually hold our weight.
That's the real challenge.
Yeah.
Can your words hold your weight?
Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll see you next time.